Hello everyone, welcome to the theory class. Today we're going to cover lesson 9, and before we get started we're going to have our evaluation, which will cover lesson 8. All right, so you want to make sure you're on your machine for this. Here we go, ready? Number 1, skill. She has a lot of skill. Number 2, vase. Don't drop the vase. Number 3, the brief if. I will go if you can go. If. Number 4, sleep. Did you get any sleep? Number 5, the brief have. Have you gone to the store? Have. Number 6, fat. The dog is too fat. Number 7, the brief of. We have a lot of things to do today. Number 8, vote. Did you vote? Number 9, the brief information. What information did you give? Number 10, for. I want to go for you. Okay, let's look at those, see how you did. Number 1, skill. You're going to look at your steno notes and compare what you have with what I say you should have. Okay, number 1, skill. S-K, short I-L. Number 2, vase, initial V, long A-S. Number 3, the brief if, which is initial T-P. Number 4, sleep, S-L, long E-P. Number 5, the brief have, initial S-R, which is our V. Number 6, fat, initial F-A-T. Number 7, the brief of, final F. Don't get if and of mixed up. If is initial F, of is final F. Number 8, vote, initial V, O, long O, T. Number 9, the brief information, initial F, F-O-G-S. Still thinking of vote. So information, F-O-G-S. And we've got 4. I will go for you, initial F-O-R. And make sure you don't write a long O. That is going to be saved for words that have the prefix for, like forget, forgot, and things like that. That's the only time we write that with a long O. Okay, the word for, F-O-R, is just a short O. All right, so if you missed any of those, go back and practice. I would say if you missed more than 2, you need to go back into that last chapter or lesson 8 and redo it, okay? All right, so let's look at lesson 9. You want to make sure and have your handouts all printed so you can follow along. All right, so let's look at 9.1. Our big concept that we're learning for lesson 9 is going to be the final M and the final K. So the way we write final M is by striking the PL with our right hand, using our middle and ring finger. That's our final M. Our final K is going to be straight down from that, using our middle and ring finger. Our middle finger striking the B and our ring finger striking the G. Okay, that's our final K. So words that end with final M is going to be the PL. Words that end with final K is going to, we're going to use our final BG. That's the final K. All right, so if you notice, it says new letters. Final M is the final PL and final K is the final BG. So let's look at some of these words. Okay, we've got bum. So we're going to write that as B-U-M. So if you look at the steno, that's very different from the English word. We've got P-W as our B, U, and then P-L for the M. So now we're really starting to get into steno, where somebody who doesn't know this would not know what that is. So it's pretty exciting. Then we have limb, L-I-M. Notice that even though it's spelled L-I-M-B into English, it's pronounced limb. It's a silent B, so we write it phonetically. Okay, L-I-M. And that's a short I, otherwise it would be lime. Seam, S, long E-M. Okay, came, K, long A-M. Tame, T, long A-M. Am, A-M. And that's a short A, otherwise it would be aim. Line, there's our long I, L, long I-M. Home, H, long O-M. Dime, D, long I-M. Rum, R-U-M. Lamb, L-A-M. Again, we've got a silent B there when it's spelled in English, but we write it phonetically, L-A-M. Beam. Now notice that beam is spelled B-E-A-M, so we're going to do the A-E reversal, B-A-E-M, even though it's spelled B-E-A-M. Okay, that's one of those spelling rules. Rhyme, again, we're writing that phonetic, R, long I, M, rhyme. Make sure you use a long I, otherwise it would be rim. Same, S, long A, M. Dim, D, short I, M. You use a long I, would be dime. Fame, F, long A, M. Time, T, long I, M. Aim, long A, M. Rim, R, short I, M. Him, H-I-M, and that's a short I. Now let's look at our words that end with final K, which is the final BG. We've got lake, L, long A, final K. Bake, B, long A, final K. Stock, S-T-O, final K. Rake, R, long A, final K. Sick, S, short I, final K. Hack, H, short A, final K. Break, B, R, long A, final K. Like, L, long I, final K. That's a long I, otherwise it would be lick. Meek, M, long E, final K. Tick, T, short I, final K. Make, M, long A, final K. Sack, S, short A, final K. Buck, B, U, final K. Rack, R, short A, final K. Long A would be rake. Stake, S-T, long A, final K. Like stake it in the ground. Now, if you have the word steak, as in I want to eat a steak for dinner, that would be S-T-A-E, final K. Okay, then we have the word fuck. Now, I told you in a few, I think it was a few lessons ago, you're going to hear every word there is, including all the bad words. So this is where you're going to get that word because it's a final K word. So fuck is going to be F-U, final K. Okay, back, B-A, final K. Stuck, S-T-U, final K. Neck, initial N-E, final K. Stick, S-T, short I, final K. right. All right. And I always, I like to use this example of, I took a deposition once of Hell's Angel, and I think every other word that he used was fuck. So, of course, as a reporter, you're writing every word that is spoken. You're writing verbatim, so you have to know how to write every word that's in the dictionary. So that right there was a great example. So, all right, so those are your words that end with final M and final K. Now, if you look at 9.2, that's a writing drill, and you're going to separate these with commas, okay? So if you notice, you've got the same, comma, so stuck, comma, the shame, comma, a stick, comma, to take, comma, to hum, comma, the bum, comma, let's see, a dame, comma, to tack, comma, his team, comma, to pack, comma. Now let's go at the beginning of the bum. Let's see, the bum. Okay, so let's see. I made a mistake here. So line 2, it would be the bum, comma, the dime, comma, a dame, comma, to tack, comma, his team, comma, to pack, comma, to lack, comma, the cam, comma, a ham, comma, to seam, comma, to kick, comma, her mom, comma, and so forth. So this drill focuses on words that either end with final M or final K. All right. So you're going to just separate each one, each phrase with a comma. Okay. All right. Moving on over to 9.3. This is a sentence drill. So let's look at these. Now these we're going to use a period after the sentence, or we're going to use an interrog depending on if it's a question or a statement. Okay, so let's look at sentence 1. He has a tame duck, period. He has a tame lamb, period. Use the same sack, period. Use the same sack for him, period. Ask her mom to bake a cake, period. Buy a new rake, period. Now that buy is going to be a long I, so it doesn't conflict with the word by. Okay. Stack the pipe, period. Stack the pipe in the shack, period. And just a little reminder, if 2 words are underlined, that means that you're going to phrase that. Did she lack skill, interrog? She had the skill to knit, period. Again, knit, even though it's spelled K-N-I-T, it's pronounced with an N, so we write it just as N short I-T. Okay. It is a shame to be sick, period. It is a shame to be sick today, period. Did you sock him, interrog? I did poke him in the eye, period. Now, just a reminder, that I is going to be a long I. Otherwise, it would conflict with the pronoun I. So pronoun is short I, and the noun, the I on our face, would be long I. Okay. I did poke him in the eye, period. All right. He came home, period. He came home to eat, period. Now, eat is going to be written just like it's spelled. That's a spelling rule there. So it's A-E-T. Even though it has the long E sound, we're going to revert back to the spelling rule, A-E-T. Okay. Where did you take the rock, interrog? I put it in the stack, period. He came to stay, period. He came to stay here, period. Where did he roam, interrog? Ted is stuck in the mud, period. Now, Ted is a proper name, so you want to flag that. Pick up the rack, period. Pick up the rack of lamb, period. Can you make it rhyme, interrog? Did you aim at the neck, interrog? break at the same time, period. Now, that break is going to be written as B-R long A-K. Now, if we had the word break as in I need a break, that would be written as B-R-A-E-K, because I need a break is spelled B-R-E-A-K, so we're going to use the A-E reversal. But this break, B-R-A-K-E, is just written with a long A. Okay, and don't forget your phrase for at the is T-E. Okay, the rim was stuck in the lake, period. The tick made her sick, period. Now don't forget made, M-A-D-E, that is our exception. So that's going to be written as M long A-D. We flag the other maid. I hired a maid to clean my house because M-A-D-E comes up much more often than M-A-I-D. Okay, we will bake the lime cake, period. All right, moving on over to 9.4. We've got some new briefs and phrases. Let's go over those. Okay, we have, let's start out with many. Now, many is going to be written as final M, many. Okay. Then we have so many. We can phrase so many, S-O final M, so many. Now, just a reminder, back in lesson 6, we learned the brief some, which is just initial SM, and that is why we do that, so that we can phrase so many, S-O-M. Okay. Then we have this. This is written as initial TH. Let's phrase this is TH final S. This will, TH final L. Then we have until. Until is going to be written as initial N, final L, until. Well, I am well today. That's going to be written as initial W, final L. And it does not conflict with we will, because we will is written as W-E-L. So that's why we write well as initial W, final L. We leave out the E. Now, let's talk about our next brief, account. I think this is going to be probably the most challenging word that you've had so far. You will get used to it. It is challenging at first, but with some finger exercises, you will get it down, I promise. So account is going to be written as final K-T. So if you notice, my fingers are kind of, you know, 2 are down here and 1's up here. Final K-T. That's how we write account. So if you notice, my index finger is kind of up in the air. This is another reason why you want to make sure your fingernails are nice and short, because of this brief right here, account. So if you notice that that is challenging, I will give you a finger practice drill, and write this down on this page here on your handout. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to practice final KT, and then you're going to go down to final MS. Final KT, final MS. So we learned our M, so you're going to practice final MS, final KT. And that's just a finger drill. And if you do that, it will get easier, I promise. Okay, so practice that finger exercise. Okay, final KT, final MS. And just go back and forth until you figure it out. Okay, it will get easier. All right, that's how we write account, final KT. Then we've got can. Notice that it says in phrases only. We've already learned can, which is going to be written as initial K. Okay, but in phrases only, such as he can, you can, I can, so on, we're going to write it with the final K. All right, so he can would be E, final K. We already phrased can he, initial K-E, but now we can phrase he can, E-K. You can, U-K. Just like we phrased can you, K-U. Now he can is going to be, or you can is going to be U-K. All right, we can, W-E, final K. It can, initial T, final K. It can. She can, S-H-E, final K. I can. I can is going to be your short I, final K. Ick. I can. Again, it's a short I because it's the pronoun I. I am. Now let's talk about I am. We have to flag I am. And the reason why we have to do that is because we've got words that start with I am, like such as immature, immortal, immaterial. Any type of prefix with I am would conflict in our dictionary if we don't flag it. So you're going to write I am with the flag. And it's pretty easy because you've got this hand available. So anytime you phrase I am or I am, you're going to flag it, okay? So that will tell your dictionary I'm talking about the phrase I am, okay? So that's why you see a little flag there. And it's just so you don't have a conflict with words such as immature, immaterial, and so on, okay? Let's look at 9.4. It's a brief drill. So when you're practicing your briefs here, you want to separate each one with a comma so that you don't, it's not hard to read. It makes it a lot easier. So just like over in 9.4, when you strike many, then you would strike your comma. So many, S-O-M, strike your comma. Okay, this, comma, this is, comma, this will, comma, and so forth. Now, when you get down to can, that's in phrases only. Okay, so then you would strike, you still want to strike that, even though it's not really, the first can is not really in a phrase, but you still want to strike final K because you're getting used to that stroke. Okay, and then he can, comma, you can, comma, we can, comma, it can, comma, so and so on. Okay, so looking over at 9.5, that's a brief drill. Again, you want to strike the brief, very, comma, well, comma, ask, comma, consider, comma. And before you tackle the homework, go through and do like a run through, just so it doesn't feel so awkward at first, okay? Or if you have to, write the brief. If you're on ask and you're on 9.5, this brief drill, and you've got very, if you have to, right above it, S-R-E. And that way you know it's V-E for very and so on until you get it down. Well, initial W, final L. Feel free to write anything you want, take notes on your handouts. Okay? That way it makes it that much easier when you're going through and you're having to write the drill. It just kind of sticks out as to how to write it. And then after you've done it a couple times, it should start to sink in and become a lot easier. Okay, moving on over to 9.6, we've got practice sentences. Ray is very well, period. Don't forget to flag Ray, that's a proper name. Okay, Ray is very well today, period. He will stay until night, period. And don't forget, night is going to be written with the final GT. We write night as N, long I, G-T, because it's spelled G-H-T, okay? He will eat until full, period. Line 3, he paid some of the account. Notice that some of the is underlined. We can phrase that whole thing. Some, S-M, final, F-T, of the. We can phrase that whole thing. And then we've got account. Here's that brief. He paid the account today, period. Now, line 4, well, comma, this account is due, period. Notice there is a comma after well. You want to strike your final RBGS. So you're going to strike well, W, final L, and then strike your comma. This account is due, period. Well, comma, wait until it is due, period. Line 5, well, comma, this team is bad, period. Well, comma, this account is bad, period. Anytime you see a comma when you're doing your homework, you want to strike the final RBGS. Okay. Line 6, I will take many, period. I will eat many, period. Line 7, I can pay it today, period. I can see her here, period. Line 8, this is a bad time, period. This will inform the company, period. Just a reminder, inform is F-O-R-M. So we can phrase inform the F-O final T. This is stuck, period. This is a hit, period. He can hum, period. He can take the pack, period. I know this will stick, period. I know this will do, period. It can sit here, period. It can be today, period. You know I am to read, period. So there's your reminder. I am. You're going to phrase I am, but we are going to flag it so it doesn't conflict with words that have I am. You know I am to read it, period. We can use the stock, period. We can account for it, period. She can make the coat, period. She can use the rack, period. You can buy the duck, period. You can take it up, or I'm sorry, you can tack it up, period. So just a reminder, we do phrase it up, T-U-P, it up. Okay. Moving on over to 9.7, we've got our consonant compounds. So today we're going to focus on initial SP, and initial SW. Okay, so we have words such as spare, long A, spike, long I, speck, spade, long A, spell, spill, spot, speed, long E, spear, notice that's spelled E-A, so we're going to write it as S-P-A-E-R. Okay, space, long A, speak, there's another E-A word, so we're going to write it as S-P-A-E, final K, speak. Spam, now spam is a particular brand, it's a proper noun, so we're going to flag that because it's got a capital S there. So we're going to write that as S-P-A with the flag final M. Okay, so you're going to write it as S-P-A with the flag final M. All right, again, you can use either index finger to flag it. Spat, sped. Swim, sweep, long E, sweep. Swell, swipe, long I. Swig, swum, swag. Sweet, long E. Swore, long O. Swam, sweat. Notice that sweat is spelled E-A, so we're going to write it as the A-E. Now, I want to talk about swap, swat, and swab. I want you to highlight those three words. These words are what we call broad A words. And we are going to cover more of these in chapter 16. So in a few chapters from now. But we do want to hit on those a little bit because you are going to see some of those broad A words, okay? So these are what we call diphthongs. That's kind of a funny word. Let me explain to you what a diphthong is. A diphthong is a gliding monosyllabic speech sound, as in toy or swab, that starts at one position for the vowel and it moves to or toward the position of another vowel, okay? So boy, toy, owl, swat, and so forth. Those are all going to be examples of diphthongs. Okay, so today you're getting some of these ah sounds. So this is what we call the broad A. If we have a word that's spelled with an A but it has a ah sound, that's what we call the broad A sound. So words like all, call, and so forth. If we have the word all, A-L-L, we're going to write that as A-U-L because it has an ah sound. It's not owl, it's ah. Okay? Call. I will call you. K-A-U-L. All right? So that's where these words come into play. Swap. It's not swap, it's swap. S-W-A-U-P. Okay? Swat. We didn't say swat, we said swats. We're going to write it as S-W-A-U-T. Swab. We didn't say swab, We said swab, S-W-A-U-B, swab. Okay, so those are broad A sounds. Now, we do have some exceptions. There are times when we've got the homonyms, such as ball and ball, hall and hall. So there are some exceptions. When we've got the homonyms, that's where we have to get, we have to find different ways to write these words so that our dictionary knows what ball and ball we're talking about and hall and hall we're talking about. So if I were to say throw the ball, I would write that as B-A-L, okay? Pretty much we're writing it the way that it's spelled, B-A-L-L, so we're writing it B-A-L. But then we've got ball. The baby will bawl when she gets her shots. That's going to be B-A-U-L, okay? Same with hall and tall. Walk down the hall. That's spelled H-A-L-L, so we write it as H-A-L because we have the other hall, H-A-U-L, haul the load to the dump, and that's written as H-A-U-L. So the only reason why we have different ways to write those is because of the homonyms, and we want to write real time, and we don't want to have conflicts. But those are the only exceptions whenever we've got homonyms to deal with, okay? But anything like call, all, swat, swap, if we don't have to worry about homonyms and it's spelled with an A in the English language and it has an ah sound, we're going to write it as AU on our machine. Okay, now the other exception are words that are spelled in the English language with an O but has an ah sound. That does happen. And two examples are that I want to give you are spot and soft. So spot in the English language is spelled S-P-O-T, soft, S-O-F-T, and it has the ah sound. But anytime we've got a word that's spelled with an O in the English language, we're still going to continue to write it with an O on our machine in steno, okay? So if you've got the word soft, even though it has an ah sound, it's spelled with an O, so we're going to keep it as an O, S-O-F-T, okay? Spot, S-P-O-T, okay? So we do that because that's an exception. It's spelled with an O, so we keep it as an O. So please write that down, okay? Exception, if it's spelled with an O in the English language, we keep it as an O in steno, okay? So those are our two exceptions, homonyms and words that are spelled with an O, okay? So again, we're going to go over more of these in lesson 16, but I did want to touch on those because you do have 3 words here, swap, swat, swab, and they're spelled with an A, so we're going to write it as an AU because it has the ah sound, okay? All right, so moving over to 9.8, we've got some practice sentences that focus on the initial SP, initial SW. Now, if you look at the third sentence in line 1, it says, did you spill some of it? We can, and we want to phrase some of, but we can't phrase some of it because it is over here. We can phrase some of the, but this is some of it. So we do want to phrase some of, and then you have to come back for it, okay? Line 4, you might want to highlight, swat the bug. So there's that broad A sound, S-W-A-U-T, swat, okay? Just put maybe an AU above it so it's kind of a reminder to write it with the AU. Okay, let's look at the second sentence in line 4. The Swiss can ski. Now, Swiss is a capital S, so we have to flag that. We're going to write that as S-W with the flag I-S, Swiss. To tell our dictionary, we need to capitalize the S in Swiss. Okay, now let's look at ski. Ski is spelled S-K-I in the English language, but it has a long E. So we're going to write that as S-K long E because of the sound. We write it phonetically. Looking at the next sentence, the swap meet will be here. Again, I want you to highlight swap so it stands out, S-W-A-U-P. Okay. Line 5, dig it up with the spade. Don't forget we want to phrase it up, T-U-P. Get up. Line 6. Look at the second sentence. Swab the sore. Highlight swab and write a little AU above there so you know to write it as SWAUB. Line 7, third sentence. Did you eat the spam? Again, spam is capitalized, so we're going to flag it. SPA with the flag, final M. Okay. Line 8, third sentence. Did you swill the beer? Swill just means to drink freely or in excess. So that's written as SW short IL. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Make sure you do these sentences, this whole lesson, at least 3 times. I prefer that you do it at, more like 4, even 5 or 6 times. The more times you do it, the more it's going to sink in. And as you notice, we're really starting to get into some more, I would say, just a little bit more difficult concepts. So, you're looking at these words now, and a person off the street, a layman person would look at this, and some of these words, they would not know what this is. So we're getting into some more difficult concepts. So again, the more you practice, the more it's going to sink in. And also, this is where the read back becomes very important, because if you write, you may be able to write lime, L long I-M, but if you're not going back and reading it, it's going to be very difficult to read, because you're just going to see HRAOEUPL, and that's going to look very foreign if you're not reading back these words and sentences. So that concludes our lesson 9. So once you have done, completed these at least 3 times, then you'll go into the read back portion, and I will see you soon in the read back portion of lesson 9. Have a wonderful day.